May 26, 1944, Tawi-Tawi Anchorage, Philippines. Feet. Petty Officer Frank Mitchell crouches in the forward torpedo room of USS Harder. Feet. Pressing headphones against his ears. Through the hydrophones, he hears it. Feet. The rhythmic thump, thump of destroyer screws. Multiple contacts, getting closer. Feet. Contact bearing. Mitchell whispers into the intercom. Estimate 3,000 yards and closing. In the conning tower, Commander Samuel Dewey calculates the geometry of death. His submarine sits submerged near Japan's most heavily defended anchorage, surrounded by 8 destroyers actively hunting American subs. The mission: gather intelligence for the upcoming invasion of Saipan. The problem: they've been detected. But here's what those Japanese destroyer captains don't know. The man listening to their propellers through Harder sound gear isn't a trained sonar man at all. Frank Mitchell is a cook. 6 months ago, he was serving scrambled eggs in the crew's mess. Today, he's the most feared acoustic operator in the Pacific Fleet. A man whose ears can identify specific Japanese warships by the subtle variations in their propeller signatures. A man who can distinguish between a destroyer making an attack run and one on routine patrol from sound alone. Over the next 4 days, Mitchell's acoustic intelligence will guide Harder through the most audacious submarine patrol in naval history. Commander Dewey will sink 5 Japanese destroyers, more than any submarine has destroyed in such a short time. The Japanese Navy will give Harder a nickname: Alma, the Devil Boat. But Mitchell's journey from galley to glory began with failure, with rejection. With every officer in the submarine service telling him the same thing: that's impossible. Cooks don't become sonar operators. What he didn't know on that May morning listening to approaching destroyers was that his unorthodox path to the sound shack and his refusal to accept the Navy's rigid job classifications would save thousands of American lives and help turn the tide of the Pacific War. This is the story of how one man's obsession with underwater sound broke every rule in the Navy's manual and created a legend the Japanese still fear today. December 1942, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The submarine crisis gripping the Pacific Fleet isn't making headlines, but it's costing American lives at an alarming rate. Japanese destroyers are sinking U.S. fleet submarines faster than shipyards can replace them. The problem isn't courage. American submariners are the bravest men in the Navy. The problem is identification. By the time a submarine commander sees a Japanese destroyer through his periscope, he's already at a tactical disadvantage. Surface ships are faster, more maneuverable, armed with depth charges that can crush a submarine's hull like a tin can. The statistics are brutal. In 1942 alone, 7 American submarines were lost in the Pacific. USS Grampus, USS Granjing, USS Runner. Each loss takes 60 to 80 men to the bottom. The casualty rate for submarine service reaches 20%, the highest of any branch of the U.S. military. The Navy solution: better sonar operators. Men trained to identify enemy vessels by sound alone, giving commanders crucial seconds of warning before visual contact. The submarine school in New London, Connecticut runs intensive acoustic training programs. Students spend months learning to distinguish propeller signatures, chime rhythms, hull resonances. But there's a problem. Training pipelines can't keep pace with fleet expansion. By 1943, the Navy is commissioning new submarines faster than it can train specialized sonar crews. Worse, combat losses are depleting the ranks of experienced acoustic operators. Every sunken submarine takes its sound specialists to the grave.
The Navy's personnel system, rigid and bureaucratic, makes the problem worse. Ratings. Job classifications are strictly enforced. A man trains as a torpedo man. He serves as a torpedo man. A man enlists as a chef's cook. He stays in the galley. Cross-training is rare. Battlefield promotions from one rating to another. Almost unheard of. Naval experts agree. The sonar operator shortage is unsolvable within existing regulations. The Bureau of Naval Personnel issues a memo in March 1943. Sonar specialist training requires minimum 18 months preparation. No expedited pathway exists. Meanwhile, Japanese destroyers continue their deadly work. Then there's Frank Mitchell, a man who shouldn't even be on a submarine. Mitchell, 24, grew up in Galveston, Texas, working in his father's seafood restaurant. He enlisted in December 1941, 3 days after Pearl Harbor, listing his occupation as cook. The Navy assigned him to the Commissary Corps. After basic training, feat, he requested submarine duty. Not for glory, but because submarine crews ate the best food in the Navy, and he wanted to cook it. Mitchell reported to USS Harder's commissioning ceremony in December 1942. His job, feed 80 men 3 meals a day in a galley the size of a broom closet. The work was grueling, starting at 4 a.m. hours. Preparing breakfast while the submarine pitched and rolled through rough seas. Standing watch during battle stations. Feet, serving as phone talker between compartments. Cleaning inventory, rationing supplies for 60-day patrols. Feet, but Mitchell noticed something during Harder's first war patrol in early 1943. The submarine sound operators, the men listening for enemy ships through hydrophones, struggled to differentiate between contacts. Japanese destroyers and merchant ships often sounded similar. False identifications led to wasted torpedoes, or worse, missed opportunities. Mitchell, spending off-duty hours in the sound shack, began to hear patterns the trained operators missed. Years of identifying fish species by the sound they made hitting his father's dock. Mullet versus redfish versus speckled trout. Had trained his ears differently. He noticed variations in propeller cavitation. Engine harmonics. The subtle pang of hull plates flexing under specific loads. On April 16, 1943, during Harder's second patrol, Mitchell made an offhand comment to the sound operator. "That's not a merchant ship. Those screws sound military." The operator dismissed him, but Commander Dewey, overhearing, raised his periscope. Mitchell was right. It was a Japanese destroyer. And suddenly, Dewey started paying attention to his cook's unusual talent. The confrontation came 2 weeks later when Harder pulled into Pearl Harbor for refit. Commander Dewey summoned Dewey to a stateroom. "I want you to train as a sonar operator," Dewey said. "You've got better ears than anyone on this boat." Mitchell's heart raced. "Sir, I'm a cook. I don't have the qualifications." "I don't care about qualifications. I care about results." But the Navy cared about qualifications. Mitchell held the rating of chef's cook second class. Transitioning to soundman required formal schooling. Aptitude tests. Months of training. The Bureau of Naval Personnel rejected Dewey's request within 48 hours. Petty Officer Mitchell lacks prerequisites for sonar training. Request denied. Dewey tried again and again. Each request met the same response. The problem wasn't Mitchell's competence, it was bureaucracy. The Navy's rating system, designed for peacetime efficiency, couldn't adapt to wartime reality. A cook was a cook. A sonar man was a sonar man. The boundaries were inviolable. Mitchell, frustrated, considered requesting transfer off Harder. "I'm not helping anyone standing in a galley," he told Dewey. "But I can't get trained, and I can't serve in a role I'm not qualified for." That's when Dewey made his decision. The decision that would change naval warfare. "You're going to train anyway," Dewey said, unofficially. "Every off-duty hour you are in the sound shack. Learn everything, practice on every patrol. When we're at battle stations, you'll assist the official sound operator. When that operator is off duty, you'll take the headphones." "Sir, that's against regulations." "Regulations be damned, we're fighting a war, not filling out forms." And so Mitchell began his covert training. During Harder's third war patrol in June 1943, He spent every spare moment listening to underwater sounds, destroyer screws, freighter engines, the ping of active sonar from Japanese subchasers. He made notes, developing his own system for identifying vessels. The official sound operator, Torpedo Second Class Riley, initially resented Mitchell's presence. But after Mitchell correctly identified a submerged contact as a Japanese submarine, something Riley had missed, Riley became Mitchell's greatest advocate. "This guy's better than anyone at sub school," Riley told Dewey. And he learned it in 3 months. Mitchell's breakthrough came on August 30th, 1943. During Harder's 4th patrol. The submarine was tracking a convoy when Mitchell, listening through the hydrophones, suddenly tensed. "Those aren't merchant ships, Commander. Those are destroyer escorts, heavy escorts, feet. I count 3 of them, and they're hunting us." Dewey checked the periscope. Nothing visible. "You sure?" "Yes, sir. The propeller count is wrong for merchants. And there's a resonance frequency that matches the Kagero class's